Hi everyone, my name is Sandra. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a video on these brush pens. So when I say brush pens, they're not the regular fiber tip that I usually work with. These are actual bristles. These are by Mozart, and it just says Mozart brush pen. So how I kind of came about looking at these or finding them on Amazon was actually because I was looking at the Kuretake Zig Clean Color real brush pens, and for the entire set it was $200, and I didn't want to invest that kind of money right away in any product without first kind of testing what they were like or what they were similar to. So I decided to go for this less expensive option. So for these pens you have 20 of them, and I believe I paid just like $21. So pretty reasonable, and I won't be actually brush lettering with them because like I can try, but they're not really meant for brush lettering. It will look particularly messy and it's not going to give you that nice clean look. They're more meant for painting with watercolor. So I'm going to do a few swatches first, and then we'll play around with them and I'll show you what they can do and kind of what they're meant for, and I'll try doing like one word or something. But let's get into the swatches right now. And also, by the way, I am using watercolor paper for this because they are real bristles, so they're nylon bristles, and it will not ruin the tip of the brush pen because it's not a brush pen, it's bristles, so we're good. And also, just for the other supplies that I'm using as well, to do a little letter piece that I can color in, I'm going to use this Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pen in the black 199 because it won't run when I put water over top of it. I'm also going to try using this Zig Clean Color Real Brush Pen by Kuretake, and this is the blender from the expensive brush pens because I couldn't find a blender with the Mozart ones, so I'm just going to use this to kind of show the technique of how you would blend it. And then also I have my water pen, which I'm using this in lieu of an actual paintbrush because I don't really have a good paintbrush, and I think I need to invest in like a little cup that I can fill with water and some really nice watercolor paintbrushes, which I do have my eye on. But so let's get into the swatches here.
You're moving so differently. Now this is all I want. So if you make a move, I promise I'll be there too. Ooh, give me a time and place. I will be there before you have to wait for me. Been hiding away for too long. 'Cause all I need is something just like this in the time and place. Ooh, give me a time and it's something just like this in the time and place. She's telling me that I tend to get it right, so stay with me. Yeah. Just be safe and hold on tight. Is it just me who's falling? I'm in too deep. Give me a time and place. I will be there before you have to wait for me. Been hiding away for too long. 'Cause all I need is something just like this in the time and place. Ooh, give me a time and
Okay, you guys, so I have a couple of things to say about these pens. So first of all, I mean, I probably didn't do this right because obviously I didn't clean off, like you watched me, I didn't clean off my Kuretake Zig Clean Color pen each time I did a new color, but the colors to the right are the true colors. So what I decided to do, the color on the left is the color of the brush pen, and then I blended it out a little bit with the Kirotaki Zig Clean Color Real Brush Blender. So it says it's water-based. So I don't know if it's just water in here or if it has some kind of like formula, like maybe a little bit of alcohol to make it blend better. I don't know. But I do notice a difference, and maybe it's like a time test. Like, I'm actually just going to try something before I talk more about this here. So I'm going to put this down, and instead of waiting for it to dry, use the water on it right away. So maybe it's just because it dried. So what I was originally going to say was I noticed a difference between the blend of the clean color blender on this side and this side where I put the dot of color and then blended it out with pure water. So all I have in this one is water. And maybe it's because it dried down. I don't think so, because I can still see the round area where I put this color and I blended it with water right away, and it still kind of did the same thing. So what I found is that, and yes, I did put more of the color here, so maybe you have to do more of the color in order for it to blend better. I don't know. But from looking at this and from what I've just done, the blender blends it out better than just watercolor. So these are a watercolor brush, as simple as that. So that's what I would use them for. I wouldn't be using them for brush lettering, but I can try, let's try to brush letter something here. I'm just going to write the word brush and see how it turns out. So as I go down and then back up, the bristles tend to split because, of course, it's an actual brush. It's not like a fiber brush that's like all one piece. There are little bristles in there, so it's a little bit harder to control. It doesn't really look very nice. So yeah, I definitely won't be using these as an actual brush pen for calligraphy purposes. So what I would use them for, say for instance, I was to write out a letter. I'm just going to do one letter because for the sake of time, and I could draw like a whole art piece, but we're not doing that right now. So say we drew out the letter M. What I would use them for, because this blender works so well, you could either decide to put a little bit of color inside the letter. Actually, let's draw another M and then we'll decide what is better. It might just be like a different kind of look. So the first part, I'll use the same color for this. You could put some of the color inside the letter and then just use the blender pen or your water brush, whatever you want to do. Let's use the water brush to blend it out. You could just blend it out to like fill it in and like go next to the border, which still isn't very precise, because if anyone's tried water paint, it's kind of the same thing, but you're not using it precisely like a water painting. Like with water painting, I really like to lay down the water. This, you're just kind of blending out the edges, so you still kind of get that watercolor effect where it looks like a watercolor. When it dries, it has like that watercolor look, but in a reality, wow, I can't talk. You've actually just like colored it all in, even though the marker didn't reach to the end of the line. So that's kind of cool. How I've seen other people use this is you take your blender pen, you take your color, and then you just take some of the color off using the blender pen, and then you kind of color in your letter that way. So that would give you like a really nice light wash of color if that's something that you're going for. And that's something that you could do as well. And especially if you're doing like a true art piece, this would be a really nice way to add color on the watercolor paper. But most likely, unless you were layering, it would probably just give you a very pastel looking color. But that's also nice. You might like that. And I wanted to kind of try these and play around with them. And I was thinking of doing something like that for my next bullet journal spread, but part of me is a little bit afraid because it's going to take a long time to do it. So like something else you could do is if you're using that technique, you could use a darker color and then you could blend it. So using your blender, color a little bit on there and then just like blend the color. So yeah, I think this would be like really nice to do for an art piece. If you were using a lot of blending and stuff, that would be really nice. So I guess I never really talked about the body of the pen or anything like that. So these specific pens, I actually really like that. So I'm not going to talk about, oops, put the wrong lid on the wrong one. I'm not going to talk about the Kuretake because I'm not reviewing those pens. I just use that as a blender. But the Mozart pens here, so all it has on the barrel, it has MA for Mozart, brush pen in really cool writing. Mozart Supplies Limited, and then the website and info. So that's it. It doesn't have any color on the barrel, so I don't know the names of the colors, but you do have the, like what the color is on this side, and they're pretty, I'd have to say, you know what, they're actually not even that accurate, because looking at the end of this one, it looks kind of like a gray, like a warm gray, and this is the color that came out. The rest of the colors are pretty accurate, I'd have to say, but that one's a little weird. I think they're cool to play around with, and okay, take this with a grain of salt, because I know a lot of people own the Kuretake Zig coloring brush pens, and honestly, I probably would like to, that's weird. Okay, so as we were talking, I just noticed something completely weird. Let's see here. Okay, so some of these brush pens, I don't know if it's the brushes in this one that are pulled out a bit more, but this one's literally taller than the rest of the pens. That is so weird. This one's taller too. I thought at first it was the cap, but I think it's actually the pen that's taller. It's really, really weird. I've been storing them horizontally, but there's a couple that are taller than the other ones. This one specifically is like taller. Super weird. But anyway, take this with a grain of salt. I personally think that if you already own watercolors, you're not really missing out. The only thing that owning a lot of colors would do is allow you to like color right with the pen itself. Whereas if you have watercolors, like say, and even if you only had the pens, like say you were to take your red and your blue, let's do red and orange or yellow. So like you could use a blending card and you could put some color down, or you could even use a paint palette because they're like plastic, and put red down, and or you could mix the colors because they will, I'm sure they'll clean after a while, and then take your blender pen and then mix a color on your palette, and then you could like color in something and it would be orange. So I mean, you could mix it that way, and I think that might happen a lot. Like that's something that you could do with like a few pens, even if you had like the red, the blue, and the yellow, because obviously those are primary colors and all other colors are mixed from those. It would probably be kind of a pain in the butt, and I think the whole point of having these pens is that you can just color using the color that you pick. So again, this particular pack, it only came, I think it was like a 15 pack or a 20 pack, or maybe a 10 pack and a 20 pack. You couldn't get anything different, but I will have them linked in the description below if you're curious and you want to check out this brand. But I wouldn't mind, like, because this blender works so well, I still wouldn't mind trying the Kuretake Zig Clean Color and just kind of seeing how they compare to this video. And if I do that, I would probably get all of the colors, because you guys know me and my brush pens and the colors. I need all the colors. I'm addicted to pens and stationery. So I would like to compare them, and I would link this video for you if I do decide to do that. So if you guys have the Kuretake Zig Clean Color, let me know what your experience with them is like, and do you still pick them up? Like if you bought them a few years ago, do you still use them? Have they dried out? I do notice the cap on this one, this is the blender, it's not as tight as these Mozart ones. They go on pretty satisfying, but this one just kind of lost its clickiness, if you know what I mean. it clicks a little bit. But so these are made in Japan, and these ones I'm not sure where they are made, but that would be interesting to know. But yeah, these are made in Japan, so we should check that out and see. That's all I really have to say about these. They're really pretty colors, basically primary colors here. If you guys have any comments or questions, feel free to leave it down below in the description box. Until next time, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please subscribe. Consider subscribing to my channel because it would help me out so much, and it would be really nice to grow my channel. And last but not least, don't forget to click the bell notification so you can be notified every time I upload. We'll talk to you guys again in the next one. Take care. Bye.